You want your message to be received with the meaning that you intend. You want a jury to align with you and the case facts you present. You want to be trusted as a courtroom leader and have increased permission with them. You must practice hospitality. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Christy Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Christy Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello! Hello! Welcome back, Foster fam. Today, we're going to be wrapping up the series on the 5 fundamental truths about voice. And truth number 5 is my favorite, which is why it has an episode all by itself. So before we get into it, though, I want to give a quick shout out to a listener, Tessa Muir, who writes, "Your new podcast is fire." Okay, she didn't say fire, but she put 3 fire emojis, so that's how I'm saying it. I absolutely love hearing your voice, and it totally inspires and intrigues me to learn more about voice control, using your voice as a tool and telling a compelling story for jurors. Surprisingly, even through law school, being a JAG attorney and a federal prosecutor, and now being in private practice doing criminal defense, I've had tons of trial practice training and almost never had anyone offer any concrete instruction on how to use or control your actual voice as a tool, which is wild considering trial practice is all about using your voice. I can't wait to listen to more episodes. Thank you so much for that review, Tessa. When I first started working with trial attorneys, I was shocked when so many people who had been practicing for 15, 20, 30 years said they had never heard anyone talk about voice for trial. No CLEs, no special workshops. Like you said, it's just wild considering trial practice is all about using your voice. So I'm glad you're finding value in listening, and I'm delighted to provide some critical insight in this lawyer space. If you are also finding some value in this podcast, please go ahead and leave a star rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening on, so I can get that encouragement and feedback. It's helpful beyond what you can imagine. Now, I know also that Tessa is on my mailing list. Every week, I invite you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Insta, but well, social media is a bit uncertain these days, and I know a lot of you lawyer types avoid too much of a presence on those apps anyway. So get on my mailing list instead, or in addition to. That guarantees that even if all social media goes away, we can still be connected and you can still access all my content. I know you already have 2 full of inboxes, so I promise not to overwhelm you with a ton more. But I do send out a vocal tip every Tuesday to just get you thinking in a new direction about the voice and prompt you to try something that week. So go to fostervoicestudio.com and you'll see at the bottom of the homepage where you can get on the mailing list. I also have some free resources that you can check out while you're there too. You know what I hate? Being misunderstood. It's actually one of my biggest fears, if I'm honest, right up there with birds. Yes, I'm afraid of birds. Leave me alone about it already. Being misunderstood is just the worst, though. Trying to communicate something and seeing that it's just not landing the way you intend. A too harsh of tone with your kid or spouse that ended up setting them off. A thinking face that got interpreted as annoyance or irritation and ended up shutting down the conversation and leaving you baffled. It's so frustrating in our personal lives, but in the courtroom, your mismatched communication profile could break your case and lose you a deserving verdict. So, I've created a free guide to get you thinking about the emotional profiles you create. It's a printable guide to help you 10x your communication impact by mastering 6 emotional profiles for clear and authentic connection. I break down the 6 core emotions: happy, sad, love, pride, anger, and fear by giving you face, body, and breathing cues. Plus, I show you exactly which point on a 1 to 10 scale you should be with your pitch, pace, melody, volume, and tone in order to authentically capture the center of that core emotion. The link to get your free guide is in the show notes or by simply going to my website, fostervoicestudio.com. Don't wait to clear up your part of miscommunication and misunderstandings. Get your free download today. Today, we're looking at the 5th fundamental truth about voice. So let's just do a quick review. Truth number 1, the voice is an instrument and it needs to be treated as such, with the ability to be learned, trained, expanded, and developed. Truth number 2, external listening is better than internal hearing. That is, you're not the best judge of your voice yet, until you're able to recalibrate your internal hearing to match an external understanding of your voice. Truth number 3, long-term learning happens best in low-stakes situations. Being in a high-stakes situation is not the wisest time to practice new vocal skills. You develop safety and get vocal gains away from the courtroom and outside of a deposition, not while they're happening. Truth number 4, subtle vocal shifts will be sufficient and carry a lot of impact eventually. You have to first practice bigger than seems reasonable in order to grow the skills. Today ties all those truths together and gives us a purpose and a direction. Truth number 5 is practice hospitality. So, my formative thoughts about hospitality grew out of my home and family growing up. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and specifically, I grew up in the Baptist church. Now, it seems like every Sunday after church, we were invited to someone's home for lunch, or we had people over to our house. And it wasn't uncommon to spend Friday nights with several families all together at someone's house for some kind of potluck or shared meal. And then the kids would all go play in the family room or rec room while the adults visited and had coffee in the living room. At the time, I didn't realize just how special that was. Did you grow up in that same way? It's really only now as an adult in the 21st century that I think, man, that was wild, wasn't it? When was the last time you had a family over to your house for dinner and game night? It's just not the norm now, but it definitely was back in my elementary and middle school days. Okay, so having people over is where I got to see hospitality in action. My mom was masterful at it. My dad helped too. But really, my mom had it dialed in. Having people over was not the opportunity for her to show off her cooking and her homemaking, both of which were excellent, by the way. Rather, it was the opportunity to elevate everyone else. If, for a potluck, She made, well, let's say, potato salad, but someone else brought potato salad. She would, without issue, put hers away for us to enjoy some other time and put their dish at a place of honor on the table. She delighted in exclaiming over what they had contributed to the meal. But beyond just food, which is often equated with hospitality, it branched into conversation and the whole flow of the evening. And I think this is what people forget about. Without premeditation, without a strict agenda, she would just draw people into the conversation and then help connect them to the other people so that every person felt like their presence, their knowledge, their feelings on a matter were all important and valued for the good of the group. Time wasn't rushed. Everyone lingered around the table, even as kids, and enjoyed the community time and the sense of togetherness. Sometimes there were heavier discussions, which maybe I didn't totally grasp as a kid, but sometimes there was just fall out laughter, and usually it was an easy combination of both. The more I spend time coaching trial attorneys in voice and in their presentational strategies, the more I'm convinced that hospitality is what's needed in the courtroom. Think of welcoming jurors, all total strangers, into your home. The courtroom, for this scenario, it's now your job to make a way for them to be comfortable. Rather than just telling them that you're the most important people here and this process couldn't work without you, help them feel accepted and capable and important. What you said is true, but it's up to you to help them understand and feel their importance without the words. The words without meaning infused, it's just placating, and they can tell. So, like a good host, honor their desire to serve well. Help them connect to other jurors in an inclusive and conversational voir dire. Hold your agenda loosely. Stay present in the conversation. Ask powerful and resonant questions that will open the door for them to feel comfortable sharing. Springboard off of what they give you and provide segues that flow. In opening, equip them for success. Teach them in a way and in a language level where they can truly learn from you. They're now trusted leader, host, or whatever you want to call it. This is where you pay close attention to delivery so that they are able to receive your message. Then, when you get into storytelling of what happened in this case, they will feel super smart as the facts unfold and they have the foundational knowledge to evaluate for themselves. They'll even be able to talk intelligently about it in deliberations. You want your message to be received with the meaning that you intend. You want a jury to align with you and the case facts you present. You want to be trusted as a courtroom leader and have increased permission with them. You must practice hospitality. Decide today what's one thing you're going to implement as you practice this week. Practice implies that it's not a performance and it's not perfect. Make attempts. Try something. Are you going to practice a different introduction so they feel important instead of you telling them they're important? What could that look like this week? Work on setting your agenda aside during voir dire, or rather just make it secondary as you stay present with a conversation and see where it leads. Try connecting one juror's thoughts to another juror's thoughts so they feel a sense of connection and camaraderie. Work on distilling your teaching section, being really patient in order for them to learn the foundational information so that they can feel smart during storytelling and during deliberations. Practice hospitality. Choose one thing to practice or to highlight this week. And until next time, Keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster Fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.